Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I'm going to do my October manga haul. So this is all the manga that I received in the month of October. Some of it is pre-order, so I've had it on order for quite a long time. Some of it is very last minute decisions. And if you will remember my last haul, I did say that I had planned on not buying a whole lot. I was just going to do my pre-orders and not, go crazy. That was a lie. I'm going crazy. I'm buying all of the manga. It's just that I ended up coming across a couple of good deals, and also I just can't control myself. Obviously, that's why I call myself manga hoarder instead of collector, because I just buy all of the manga. Yeah, I have a problem. Anyway, I will just go through them. I'm going to start with my newest, new releases first, and then go to the old out-of-print titles, and I'll tell you where I got everything so that you can see if you can find them too. Anyway, let's just get started. So anyway, I'm going to start with Attack on Titan. This is the Colossal Edition. This is Volume 3. I still haven't read any of these Colossal Editions. I have read the first volume. I borrowed it from the library. It was okay. But I think that it would be interesting to read in this large format for obvious reasons, because the characters are large, so I think it'll be an interesting read. I got volume 4 of Haikyuu. I still haven't read past volume 1 at this point, but this did come with gift with purchase, which is why I pre-ordered it. And so, like all the previous gift with purchase, it comes with this collector card here. So this is the stat card that you get. I also got volume 5 of Haikyuu by Haruichi Furidate. And this is the collector card for volume 5. And I don't know how much more I've got pre-ordered. I might have a 6 or 7, but hopefully I'll be getting in on the gift with purchase for the rest of the series, so I will be needing to do another pre-order soon. This is a title I've been really looking forward to, and I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go, but it just looks totally hilarious. Kuma Miko by... Kumo Miko. Girl meets bear. Kuma is bear. Miko is like a priestess. Masumi by Masume Yoshimoto, and this is published by One Piece Books. First time I've had anything published by One Piece Books, so looking forward to seeing what they have to offer. So far you can really tell that it's a very flimsy volume. It's got a very nice soft cover. I'm thinking that the paper is going to be quite thin to allow it to be quite flimsy like that, but this is about a girl who lives in the mountains and her bear friend. The bear actually does talk in the manga, as far as I can tell. There was some speech bubbles next to it. I haven't read it, so I don't know. And I'm not entirely sure, but from her dress, she kind of looks like she could potentially be Ainu or, from an indigenous peoples group, so I'm looking forward to getting into this one. Probably will be picking it up very soon. I picked up the next omnibus volume of Kuroko's Basketball Volume 3 and 4 by Tadatoshi Fujimaki. As you may or may not know from my wrap-up in September, I've only read up to the first volume. I haven't read the second volume in the omnibus, and this is 3/4, so I probably will wait another volume before I actually start going with this series. This is another title that comes with gift with purchase, so it does have a character card with stats on it, so there you go. So that came with it. This was a little bit of a surprise for me because I didn't realize that I had actually pre-ordered any more volumes of this, but it turns out I pre-ordered 2 and 3. I was actually going to stop reading this title. This is Sweetness and Lightning by Guido Amagakure. It's a cooking manga about a single man, his daughter, and one of his students, and they cook meals together and eat them. That is the premise of the story. It's cute. The art is cute. The premise is cute. It just seems a little bit flat, in my opinion. So, since I am picking up more of this title, and it's sort of hard to stop it now that they're on their way, I probably will be reading more of it, and if it's fairly short, hopefully it is, I'll probably complete it, because there's no point in having like half a series in your collection. If you don't have the whole series, you might as well just finish it. So yeah, I wasn't going to read anymore, but I guess I am now. We got the next installment of Shigeru Mizuki's Kitaro. Kitaro meets Norari-hyun. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but let's just guess that that's what it is. I haven't read Birth of Kitaro yet. I did read the original Kitaro Omnibus giant thing that came out from Darn and Quarterly a few years ago. So I'm looking forward to reading these, but I haven't picked them up yet. I might wait a little bit more because there's some other titles that I probably want to read more, and I have it in my collection now, so I don't feel like there's quite the urgency to read this anymore. The next title I was actually asked to read, and so as soon as it became available I made sure I put it in my cart. This is Welcome to the Ballroom by Tomo Takeuchi, and it is a ballroom dancing manga as it sounds, but it is a shonen sports manga, so it's a very interesting, definitely not what I was expecting. You know, usually dancing manga usually is a shoujo drama romance type story. This is shonen sports manga, so it could be very good. The only problem with it so far is that it is a larger trim format. I don't like the large trim format. Yes, you do get a lot more space on it, but one, it allows publishers to overcharge for manga, which is a shame, and two, it does not fit on my shelves very well. I do not have space for these. Space is at a premium right now, so I'm not super happy about that. But I am very intrigued about the title, so I am looking forward to getting into this probably pretty soon, since it's new and I have been told how great it is, so I'll be getting into this soon. I bought the next installment of Inuyashiki by Hiroya Oku. This is volume 5. It's quite a brutal series. It's definitely not for everybody, but I'm enjoying reading it, so it's just got a different protagonist that I find really enjoyable and really interesting to read about. Definitely a seinen manga. It's not really intended for women readers because there is quite a lot of things in it that should offend me, but generally I am enjoying the story and I'm enjoying the art and I'm enjoying at least the concept of it, so far, I'm continuing with it. The next title that I got is Happiness by Shuzo Oshimi. This is the creator of Flowers of Evil. I haven't read Flowers of Evil, but I have been planning on picking that up as well. The library has it, so I probably will pre-read it before I buy it. But I only bought this. I didn't actually realize it was the same author, but I bought this because, one, it's called Happiness, and the girl on the cover is, bleeding from the mouth. It's just that there's this odd comparison of a happy title with something really grim, and right from the start I'm immediately interested in reading this title. It does have, I think, a vampire theme to it, but it should be kind of interesting from what I've read on the cover, so I'm looking forward to getting into it, and the covers are really pretty, so despite the fact that she's bleeding from the mouth or she has blood around her mouth, I think it should be an interesting read. And then I ended up doing a little bit of a trade with my sister, so I ended up buying some manga for her in an order that I had for some secondhand manga. So she put in an order for me for the Viz sale, because in Canada if you spend $250 you get free shipping, but I didn't want to spend $250, so we tacked it onto her order and basically we just swapped manga. So I ended up picking up a couple more titles from Right Stuff. The first is Platinum End by Tsugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata. You can't really see from here, but maybe you can see there that the cover is actually iridescent, which is nice. It's sort of like a collector card. Pretty. Yeah, so that's kind of nice. This is the same creators as Death Note and Bakuman, which you probably already know. This one I have been seeing quite a lot on YouTube, so I'm sure you've heard of it as well if you're watching my video. I'm sure you've seen it mentioned in someone else's as well. This is probably, I think, a more brutal title by this duo, but you know that they create interesting stories, and at the very least, Obata's art is perfect. He's one of the great artists in modern manga, so I definitely wanted to pick it up and see what it was like. And a title that is sort of unusual for me, this isn't my typical type of title that I would pick up, although maybe it is it doesn't seem atypical of me to pick up this title, but this is Ultraman. This is the beginning of a new age by Eiichi Shimizu and Tomohiro Shimoguchi. So I bought Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and Volume 5, and the art in it looks really great, and I just keep seeing these covers on Amazon and just there's something about them that I'm attracted to. Definitely like mecha and, you know, giant robots and, you know, alien beings are not necessarily my titles, and battle manga. I don't read a lot of battle manga, so like this one kind of has a lot of check marks against it, but I still am kind of in the mood to read it, so I ended up picking it up. I think it'll be interesting. Plus it's from, you know, the signature, Viz signature, and usually they have good titles in it. I don't always agree with them, but for the most part I think that they pick up worthwhile reads, so I'm looking forward to getting into this and seeing what it's like. The next stack that I'm going to show you all came from a online secondhand comic book dealer, mycomicshop.com I think they are. I'll link them, or I'll add a link in the description below, so if you're interested you can go and have a look. Mostly they sell like Western comics or, you know, North American single issues and things. They do have some auctions and stuff on there as well, but they also did have an assortment of manga, and so I ended up picking through a few titles, and they were really interesting titles that kind of fill in little gaps in our collection, as well as being like ridiculously well priced, so we were very happy about it. So I'm just going to briefly show you what I bought my sister, because it's part of the same haul and I just feel like I can't break it up and not show you what I got. These are the titles that I traded for those other titles from her Right Stuff order, so they kind of worked out evenly. What I ended up buying her was a single issue, which is sort of like the first chapter of Blackjack when Vertical was publishing Blackjack, so it's sort of like a promotional comic, which very entertaining, a very nice little publication. My sister's actually obsessed with Blackjack, so we found this volume 1 of Blackjack but from Viz Graphics, so this is from the late 90s, so we didn't have any from Viz before, I don't think, but we didn't have this volume before, so this added to her collection. We found yet another volume 1 of Parasite by Hitoshi Iwaki. My sister has, I think, 4 or 5 different Parasite editions from different publishers, and they're all very different. This one is a mixed comic, so it's one of the titles I think before Tokyo Pop took over, but there's a lot of, they're just like little tiny pocket size manga, so we hadn't had anything in this edition, and it was just really funny. So she has a lot of editions of Parasite now in the collection. And then just to fill a hole, this is Juline by Narumi Kakinochi, and this is, I think, a vampire novel. It's by the same creator of A Vampire Princess Miyu. I don't really know what Juline is about because we've never read it, or I have never read it. Maybe she has, but we just didn't have this volume. And then we bought 2 volumes of Black and White by Taiyo Matsumoto, and Black and White is actually the other name for Tekkon Concrete, so this is the early Viz publication by Pulp. So this is 2 and 3, so this is 3, this is volume 3, this is volume 2, and I believe we have a complete set now because we also have volume 1, so that was pretty exciting to be able to find these because they're, you know, quite out of print. So that was what I got for her. So onto my pile, and so this is mostly going to be single comics, but I was pretty excited with most of these titles, and this one in particular. This is Spellbound by Tomoko Taniguchi. So we've got this one here, shiny because they're all in plastics, they're still in their boards, or on boards and bags. That one there. And this one here. Tomoko Taniguchi is one of my favorite shoujo manga authors. I don't know that I recommend her to a lot of people, but there's just something about her that I love so much. And this title she actually wrote for North American audiences, so it's not a title that she wrote in Japan for a Japanese audience. It's a title that she wrote particularly to market to North American audience, so very interesting, kind of unique type of title. This is only actually issue 1, it's only the very first chapter. I don't know how far this manga goes, if it goes very far at all. These 2 are actually just alternate covers, this one here and this one here, just alternate covers of the same thing. And I believe that this one is just a preview chapter, so it really isn't a whole lot there. but I'm just really glad to have this thing. I have all of the other Tomoko Taniguchi titles that I'm aware of that were published in English. I love her so much. So I'm happy to have this. I hope there's more so I can pick it up. I did read the first issue as soon as it came. It was rubbish. It was a really terrible, terrible manga story. But I still really hope I can find more of it, so hopefully there's more. Or hopefully, you know, if there is more I can find it. So anyway, there's that. I bought this stack of single issues of Shadow Lady by Matsukaze Katsura. And this is the same author as Eyes and Video Girl Eye. Having a hard time holding it because it's so slippery, but I'll show you the covers. I'm missing 2 out of the entire series, but I got everything else. And the last 2 issues I got were they were 11, so I have issues 1 and issue 2. I believe there's 4, I can't remember, 4 or 6. I was told how many there were and now I forget. This is by Moto Hagio and translated by Matt Thorne. I think this is the story that is in 4 Shoujo Stories, which is a printing by Viz, like from the late 90s. And this one is in it, I believe. So I was able to get half of the story, I think, but not the whole story, but I'm still happy to have this because as I've said before, I am a Moto Hagio fan, so I'm happy to have this in my collection. Also, the art in it is really pretty. If I can get my hands on the 4 Shoujo Stories, I may end up actually just framing these and putting them up somewhere because they're just really attractive, so happy to have those. And then I got a couple of older volumes of manga, so I got volume 2 of Strain by Bronson and Ryoichi Ikegami. I already have volume 1, so I have volume 2, and I just got volume 3. You can see that it's all still in plastic. It was shipped really well, great condition. I think that this completes the collection. I think there's only 3 volumes, maybe there's 5. Yeah, I should probably look things up before I make these videos. But I think that this was completing it, but at the very least it's continuing, and I have volume 1, so I have 1 through 3 now. And then I got Seraphic Feather volume 2. This is Crimson Angel by Hiroyuki Utatane and Yo Morimoto, and when I was looking online it actually said that the cover art was by Yuzo Takada, and Yuzo Takada is the artist of 3x3 Eyes and Blue Seed, and someone that I was a really big fan of when I was watching a lot of anime. So I'm not entirely sure why Yuzo Takada was involved in this work. There isn't really a lot of mention on it, but I'm going to be looking into that further because how is there Yuzo Takada stuff out? You know, there's only a little bit of 3x3 Eyes and that's all I could get my hands on, so really interested in what that's all about. I got a handful of Sailor Moon Chicks comics, or Mix comics, or Chicks, Mix, and Tokyo Pop. So they're all slightly different branding on them, but they're all the same edition. I got volume 3, volume 7, and volume 10, and so this adds to my collection. It's still an incomplete collection, but I am just slowly working on this now that I have a few of these. I got the missing volume of Saint Tail number 2, so this is all that I needed to complete my Saint Tail collection, so now I can read Saint Tail. This is by Megumi Tachikawa, and so this was an anime that I had watched a long time ago. I've never read the manga, but I have been slowly picking away at it, and this is Tokyo Pop, another like Mix Chicks, like little tiny edition, so I'm looking forward to reading this. It is a magical girl series, which is not always my favorite kind of series to pick up, but it has the nostalgic factor to make it really desirable for me to read, so I'm looking forward to picking this up soonish. And the last title that I picked up from my comic shop, which is actually the reason that I put an order in at all, is Project X 7-Eleven, the miraculous success of Japan's 7-Eleven stores. And this is by Tadashi Ikuta and Naomi Kimura. And it's not that I particularly wanted this, it's that I was actually looking for the Cup Noodle Project X title, which there are a couple online, but they're just overpriced, and this one was just really reasonably priced, and so I wanted to pick this up, as well as with the readathon that's happening, Immortalium's manga marathon that's happening in like December, January. One of his challenges is to read a nonfiction title, and for some reason this is just what came to mind, and so I wanted to read this. I already have the 240Z title that's in the same series. I think there's only 3 titles in the series that got released in English, but it's a nonfiction title about like corporate Japan, which is like totally weird and interesting. But I really want Cup Noodle. So if you have Cup Noodle and you don't want to read it anymore, even if it's in bad condition, I have a P.O. box, send it to me. I want Cup Noodle so bad. So anyway, this is the 7-Eleven, so I'll probably be reading this for that readathon if I don't end up reading it in November. And so that's it for my comic shop, but the pile of manga does not end there. I do have one other place that I ended up getting manga from, and that is off of Kijiji. So Kijiji is like a local trading site. So it's like online garage sale, and you can go pick up stuff from people. So I check, you know, a couple times a week to see if anyone's selling any manga for cheap. And I found this one person who was selling manga, and most of the manga that she was selling were titles that I was really into when I was getting into anime when I was in high school. So I ended up picking up a number of titles from her. The reason that I ended up contacting this girl in the first place was because she had Revolutionary Girl Utena, Volume 2 by Chiho Saito and the Bee Papas. I have, or actually this is my sister's title, she has quite a number of, or she has a handful of titles from Utena in her collection, but we didn't have Volume 2. This is published by Animerica, and we just, you know, are trying to fill it in slowly. I think a new release of Utena is coming out soon in like a box set, so I'm interested in that when it comes out, but we just want to kind of fill in the little holes, and we happen to need this one, and so ended up picking this up from her. I also ended up picking up a whole bunch of single issues of Slayers. This is Slayers Special Volumes or numbers 1 through 5 from CPM Manga. This is The Slayers volume or numbers 1 to 5 from CPM Manga. She also gave me this Slayers Premium Manga from CPM. I didn't even really know that they had these, but really interesting. I'll probably have a look at it. It's got the nostalgia factor, you know, at the very least, so an interesting thing to add to my collection. Not something I was looking for though. And then these ones are kind of interesting to me. I have Ray Earth 1 to 3 from Mix. So here's 1, 2, and 3. These ones are unusual to me because Mix comics are usually published, like all the Mix comics I have are published in this very small trim size, like they're smaller than kind of the standard manga size. This is the large size that kind of came later, and so it's almost like this is the transition, this is the period in publication or transition in publication where the manga went from teeny tiny to the large size format before it went to like the regular size format. So it kind of like the history of Tokyopop you can see in this volume of manga. I do have the regular size standard release of Ray Earth from Tokyopop, so the 6 volumes. I know that there is also, I think, 2 volumes of omnibus releases that came out from someone else. I don't know who that was, Dark Horse or someone. Anyway, I ended up getting these ones, but I do like Ray Earth. It's one of the series that I like more than a lot of their other titles, so I'm happy enough to have it. It's not in the superest condition, but I got it for really cheap. So that's it for October. It was a very big month because I kept picking up titles here and there, and it really should have only been like that first stack from Right Stuff. Was not supposed to be all of this other stuff that just happened to happen. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.